Their story began one night on a remote highway in the White Mountains, when the couple wandered off Route 3 and found themselves in the mountains.
September 19, 1961, my husband Barney and I are in Montreal, and we heard a weather report that a hurricane was coming up the coast and probably would hit our hometown of Portsmouth. So we decided to return to Portsmouth, get there before the hurricane did.
Betty and Barney were on their way home from Montreal. Both had been married before and both had children, but Betty's were adopted since she was sterile.
And this was after the summer tourists, and we knew that the mountains were going to be deserted, facilities would be closed. So we went through customs and we stopped in Colebrook and got gas for the car and had a lunch. So we knew it was about 10 o'clock when we left Colebrook.
Betty was a social worker, and Barney was a postal worker and a member of the U.S. Civil Rights Commission. They were both around 40 years old, and neither had any history of psychological problems.
And we're driving down through the mountains when I suddenly saw a new star in the sky. And as I watched it, it became bigger and brighter. And my first thought was, is it a comet going to hit the Earth? So we stopped the car to get out to get a good look at this. And as we did, it passed, it changed direction and passed over the face of the moon. And we could see that it had multicolored flashing lights around it. And then it turned and started coming in towards us. So we started driving south. We did this for about 30 miles. And we had no idea what this craft was. We were trying to identify it. And I put the window down and I waved to him and said, "Hi." And about a half mile south, they came out over the highway, midair, and stopped. Now, my husband had been in World War II, so he's going to get out and identify this craft. And he takes the binoculars and he walks towards it. And as he looks up, he sees a group of men standing in a window looking down at him. And at that moment, a fin-like structure parted on each side of the craft. It had a red light on the end of the fin, and the craft started to come down. Barney had the feeling they were trying to capture him.
You're going to catch us away. Let's get out of here, man. Let's get out of here. You're going to catch us. Please. Let's go.
Disoriented and distraught, the Hills realized where they were when they saw a sign 17 miles from the town of Concord. They had taken 2 hours longer than expected to drive through the White Mountains. The next day, they told the Army what had happened to them. The Army was quite interested, since they had detected an unidentified radar echo over the White Mountains during the same time frame. But there were holes in the Hills story.
In the beginning, we remembered seeing the men in the road, but we couldn't get beyond that. And so we would go back there about once a month, thinking if we could find the spot where we saw the men in the road, we could remember what happened. And we were beginning to get little memories back, but nothing too shocking. And then Barney's health failed, and he wasn't responding to medication, so his doctor sent him to a psychiatrist. And one day Barney mentioned how we were going north through the mountains and looking for the spot, and we were finding all kinds of people who had all kinds of UFO sightings, but nobody knew where the spot was. So he referred us to Dr. Benjamin Simon in Boston, and we started medical hypnosis.